Do you know, something just occurred to me. Whenever you approach an investment or a trade or a purchase or anything financially from a place of lack or desperation or scarcity, and it's because at the time you often don't realize that you're doing this either, but when you approach an investment or a financial decision of any capacity from a place of lack or scarcity or fear, the chance of you succeeding in that is extremely low. I can now connect the dots looking back, but at the time, obviously, if I could have made sense of it, I wouldn't have done it. And even though people may identify it, it's not apparent or clear to you at the time. And now when I look back, I can think of at least 3 to 5 occasions where, because of previous experiences, I've had money that I needed or money that I probably shouldn't have been investing, and I've deployed that into something, and I've been focused on, oh, I've got to get my initial capital straight back out of this. Or, you know, when you go through a series of losses or whatever it is, I remember very clearly I lost about 50 or about 35k US, which is about 50 something K Australian at the time, and this was 2023. It was about March time, I remember it well, and it was the same time that Bitcoin broke out of a long accumulation zone, and coincidentally it was the time that the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, you know, bank bailouts and things. Anyway, people were in disbelief. It was a disbelief rally for Bitcoin, and I was in gold trades, short at the time, and obviously hindsight's 20/20 vision. Looking back, it was the dumbest thing ever, because whenever there's mass fear, put it this way, markets never leave the range lows on good news. They always break out and rip higher on bad news. It's like an inverse correlation with retail investors. They do not want retail investors in at the lows with their bags packed. They want fear. Look at the FTX collapse, peak fear, and that was the low. And it's weird the way things work. Anyway, what happened was I was tied up in these trades, and what happens with gold, the second there's any, gold is actually, according to Raoul Pal as well, up-to-date financial conditions. It's like real-time financial conditions index, pretty much, because you get a real-time representation. If there's uncertainty in the market, gold will rally. Whenever there's, you know, fear of war, anything like that, gold will take off, because money flees to gold in times of uncertainty. And what happened, I was short, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, and pretty much my arsehole collapsed as well during that same time. And I remember I was in this, you know, this martingale strategy, trading bots and things in gold with a good friend called Glenn White, who was also in these things, who I know Glenn very well, for the wrong reasons or the right reasons, whichever way you like to look at it. But what I'm getting at is scarcity, and as soon as that happened, that changed my life moving forward, because then I was an emotional wreck. Whenever you go through anything traumatic financially like that, it's very unlikely that it's not going to have an impact on you moving forward. So if you do ever go through a big financial loss, because looking back, that was the start of a big spiral for me, because then I went on to lose more in different things, and then I was chasing to try and recoup the funds. It's these patterns that could be so easily avoided when you look back. Now I'm aware of it, and it's time to just put the brakes on and reassess. And as bad as it is at the time, it's never that bad. No one's died. It's just numbers on a screen at the end of the day. Nobody wants to talk about it because, for a number of reasons, nobody wants to feel embarrassed or stupid, but the fact is, most people lose money in the markets. People lose more money in the markets, or retail, than people win. People like to let on that they always make money and they're profitable, but it's not always the case. So if you've had a big financial loss, just pump the brakes, because you're better off. I would have been much better off hanging fire, regathering my thoughts, and from that place you're much more likely to make better decisions. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll get better at these videos. Take care, guys.